This is Football Primetime. I'm your host, Bill Dean. Of course, here with my co-host, AJ Dean. Brought to you by Sam Wu, Primetime Radio, courtesy, obviously Mr. Wu himself, sorry. But yeah, I'm producing today, so Sam is taking extremely important phone call right now, and he just finished the Wu report. He is an extra busy human being. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Please give us a big thumbs up if you can, and obviously, let us know how we're doing. Facebook Live. AJ, I'm excited as a Jet fan, and I'm not exactly sure where I should, put my emotion to. Abby, sneezing in the microphone. Thank you. I'm extremely, I'm very excited as a Jet fan, and I don't know where to to focus my excitement on. This team, it's not the quarterback yet, and I still have my reservations on him. He's been very good in game management, not blowing it these last three games. He came back, obviously, that game against Cleveland. By the way, first Jet winning streak in like 5 years, 3-game winning streak in 5 years.
Crazy.
They have the comeback from behind win from with Cleveland, right? A miracle game. It could have obviously easily been Cleveland's win, and the Jets are looking at another loss and a losing streak of their own. But so they get the win. Next week they beat a Dolphins team that's very dangerous, even with Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson. They have wide receiver depth. They have a good running game. Raheem Mostert's a very good running back at 31 still. But still, division game, you expect the Jets to come out and, play tough, and the same thing with the Dolphins, play tough because it's a division game. Then this last week comes, and you have Aaron Rodgers coming off of a loss in London. He's not very happy with his offense. You expect that at home in Lambeau, they're going to give you all there is to have. And the Jets spanked them. They spanked them. And this was one of those wins where if, major ifs, because I'm still skeptical, I'm a Jet fan, it's just how it is. But if they turn this, if they become the team that I want them to be and that all fans hope and pray that they are, this could be that springboard game. You had multiple defensive players. Quinnen Williams had a big game, 2 sacks, forced fumble, maybe his coming out party. Ahmad Sauce Gardner is ridiculous. He's got the nickname, right? He said, what is it they would say about him? You lose the player in the sauce. Like that was the thing in the sauce.
You get lost in the sauce. You get lost in the sauce.
And he's awesome. You talk about him, AJ, he's ridiculous.
Well, I think a big part of this game too was the special teams, right? You had the blocked punt, which went for the touchdown. And then you had a blocked field goal too that helped keep the game scoreless early on. This team is playing far better than I think we both thought, especially at this first half of the season. Where you thought that they were going to have tough game after tough game, and it was going to be more the back end games that they have, that they would make up wins. But I mean, they're playing amazing, like you said. Sauce Gardner. I see stat every guy that he's covered, right, has had I think like 50 yards or less or something like that, right? Yeah. The main guy that he's been shadowing, and I mean he's been phenomenal. It just, you can't help but not be impressed and encouraged at what this team's done. These past 2 weeks for sure. I know obviously start of the season, the game against the Ravens, the defense played well, but just couldn't keep up with Lamar. The third week, against the Browns or against the Bengals, that not revenge game, but that do or die situation for Burrow and the Bengals. I mean, those. I'm extremely pleased with how they've been playing. Through 6 games to be 4-2 is crazy.
Awesome. Yeah.
Um, and to do it against, arguably one of the best football quarterbacks in the game, right?
Quarterbacks. Yeah.
And
Of all
Rodgers,
time. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy, and to do it in Lambeau, it's something that Jets fans are very happy about right now.
Yeah. And Jets fans, I see a lot of people, oh, it's the Jets. You still can't be. No, they can be happy because there's a difference between, having like that Cleveland win, like I said. You can't celebrate that. That was so fluky being
Yeah.
down, was a 13 points or 14 points, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was. And Nick Chubb scores. If he takes that knee and sits down, they win the game. But he scored, and Jets have a
Yeah.
miraculous, touchdown. That big, the big throw to Corey Davis, and then they come back and you have the Brees Hall touchdown to win it. That doesn't happen all the time. That's a 1 in a million win. That's
Yep.
not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the recipe for success.
Yep.
Then you have the next game, and they're going to talk about, oh, hey, you knocked out the number one quarterback. You bring in a fifth round or sixth round pick in Skylar Thompson. The kid doesn't know his ass from his elbow. Sorry, the curse. I cursed actually in hockey on tap too, and I gotta try to maybe bleep that a little bit. But he doesn't know what he's doing. He's coming in cold. That's a tough spot, and he kind of kept them in it a little bit, and the Jets eventually took over to get the 40-point game. This game altogether, all three phases from, like we said, special teams, defense, offense, they whipped them. And it was a fantastic game to watch as a Jet fan because you could see everything coming together. Like I said, the defense, Sauce Gardner, and DJ Reed doesn't get enough credit. He's been awesome opposite of Sauce as really their number one corner. He's getting the tougher matchups, so they can allow Sauce to kind of grow into the role. And obviously Sauce is going to be, and him obviously with the cheese head at the end was very funny. They even said it was like a home game, which is crazy. But obviously Quinnen emerges. The linebackers have played well, but then you go to offense and. I mean, we talk about it. Brees Hall is electric, and I'm going to say it, and I'll take the wounds later on if it comes. But I think he's going to be the best running back in the league as of almost next year. I think he's that good.
I think so.
He's with pass catching and his running ability. That touchdown he had, the 37-yarder. I don't know if you saw this, but they actually went over like the play log. That was supposed to be a shuttle pass back to Zach Wilson, so he could actually do like a little flea flicker. And he saw the wide open hole, and he just took it and ran with it. How many rookies have the gall to do that, or even the ability and the wherewithal? And that's awesome. And I'm giddy as a Jet fan. I mean, this doesn't happen all the time. And I'm very pessimistic. I'm always negative with this team because that's all it's been for my entire life. But this hasn't been since the Rex Ryan years that I've been this excited about a team. And Salah's pushing all the right buttons, and everything it's looking good. I'm not saying this is a playoff team. I'm not saying that this is a team that is contending for the Super Bowl now or even next year. I still think they're going to grow. But when you look at the tape of when this team starts to progress, this is the game you'll look back at and be like, they turned a corner. They went into the NFC. They went against the number one quarterback, a surefire Hall of Famer, first ballot, and a team that has a very good defense. I know they haven't played very well, but you look at that Green Bay defense, it's awesome. They stop the run. They have two awesome running backs in Dillon and Aaron Jones, and they stop that. I know they don't have wide receivers, and we'll talk about Green Bay because I think they're in trouble. But that was a very good win. It was a statement win, and I'm extremely excited.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking ahead right at the schedule now, based off of what the Jets have done, these past few weeks, right? And looking at the teams, and how, some of these NFL teams have played so far. We have looks like they just kicked a field goal. The Broncos versus Chargers right now, 13-10. The Jets have them next week with the Broncos, and I think that's another winnable game for them. Then they kind of start getting into the division, right, against the Patriots, Buffalo Patriots. I think this team could potentially be with the schedule that they have remaining, I think they could be a 10-win team. All said and done, and
Yeah.
potentially vying for a playoff spot. Whether it actually does happen or not, who knows? But I mean, you got to like what
It's
you're seeing so far.
yeah, it's fun, right? It's something you're looking at, and they're giving you hope, and that's not something you have very often at all. Matt Junior, how many podcasts are you doing back to back? Yep. It is one of we're trying to get back to that schedule we had last year where we did hockey and then football. It's just a little easier. But yeah, you got to see a little bit of a lot of my face on Mondays, which is good. And obviously, Matt, thank you for popping back on. All the listeners, we really appreciate it. Jared, Jag's gonna jag. We'll get into the Jaguars. That was not good.
A lot of
All right.
interesting headline games, right? Teams that you thought would
Yeah.
win lost.
Yeah.
Very interesting weekend of football.
All right. You were talking about it, AJ, and at Broncos next week, and that could be a win. It's a team you could beat, especially where they're playing
Yep.
now. Versus Patriots. Now that is a one on my schedule that I want to cram it down their throats.
Yeah.
Whether it's Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, I don't give a crap. I want to shove it down their throats. And on top of that, when you look at teams that you should beat, like I'm looking at the Bears, the week after Thanksgiving, that's a game where you need to blow them away to establish that you're that kind of team. You put your foot on the throat and you don't let up. You don't make this a close game versus the Bears. You go an absolute blitzkrieg. Versus Bills, I'm not expecting anything. That's a tough game. At the Patriots, I could also see that being a little bit of a tough game at their stadium, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But at Vikings versus Lions versus Jaguars, at Seahawks, at Dolphins, yeah, it could be a 10-win team, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, right? I mean, obviously the team that you think are going to be losses right away are going to be the Bills, Vikings.
Yeah.
The way that they're playing, tough
That's tough.
matchup. But they should at least split playing against the Patriots. You figure.
Yep.
Then the Dolphins. That's another coin toss, as we'll say, right? They could win it, they could not.
Yeah.
You're happy if they split it, but I mean, all the other games are winnable, or games that I think that they should win. So yeah, I mean, I'm thinking this team could be a 10-win team, which is crazy,
Yeah.
right? From the start of the season, I mean, and before, just what you thought this team could end at the end of the season. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they can continue and stay healthy, right? That's the big thing. All their key guys staying healthy. You need Zach Wilson to stay healthy this season. He gives you, even though he's been that game manager still, right? We haven't seen him really have a breakout game. He's a heck of a lot better than Joe Flacco.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
He needs to involve the wide receivers a little more. I will say that. We want to see more of Elijah Moore, and we want to see more of Garrett Wilson. And I'm sure those shootouts will come. But yeah, it's fun, and it wouldn't be fun without the other New York team, the Football Fever New York. By the way, 9-3. The last time we had 9 wins between these two teams in October was back in like 2010.
It's insane.
New York Giants 24-20 over the Ravens. A fantastic win against a team that I thought the Ravens also another team that surprisingly just not playing all that well. Lamar hasn't had a great game for a few games now than when he started the season off on House on Fire. But this Giants team and Brian Dable just it's tape, it's duct tape, and it's a hanger, and he's pulling together all sorts of objects to get this team wins. He's the head coach. He's the coach of the year right now, and through 6 games, obviously, but he's hands down the coach that you look at them and you don't understand how they're doing it, but they're doing it, and they're doing it with a running back who's playing awesome. Saquon Barkley right now is playing like the best running back in football. A quarterback of Daniel Jones who's fearless, and he's showing something right now. And I still don't think he's long term for. Well, he's definitely not long term for this team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he's still here next year, but I could see him getting a franchise tag or them working on something if he
Something.
continually plays this way, just as a stopgap for the quarterback that they take in the draft, because I think they're definitely taking a quarterback in this draft. But yeah, they're playing great, and they have at Jaguars next week, and that looks like it could be a win. And at Seahawks versus the Texans versus the Lions, they could win. They could have 9 wins in the first 10 games of the season. How crazy
It's
is that?
it is. Both New York teams are playing out of their mind.
Yeah,
I don't think any Jet or Giant fan would think that this season would be going the way it's going right now, right? But
no,
you you have to be loving it, right? And yeah, they had some help too, with the way that the Ravens played, with the way that, like you said, Lamar has not had a good
yeah,
game the past 2 weeks. That's the one thing that I don't particularly like about him. I feel like he's Jekyll and Hyde, right? He has those MVP type moments where he runs for 80, 90 yards a game, has 2 rushing touchdowns and a throwing touchdown to Mark Andrews, right? And then these games where he just the decision making is not there. Um,
yeah,
that giant touchdown that they had, to seal the victory, right, came off of an interception where you're
yeah,
just trying to make a play, and there you don't have to do that. Just throw the ball away, or I can't remember if it was on a second or third down, where he threw the pick, but worse comes worse is if you get sacked, or you throw the ball away and your team punts the ball, right? At least you're having your defense, win you the game instead of
yeah,
giving the Giants the ball all on the, what I think it was on the 20 or 30-yard line, right,
yep,
in their own zone. It just, both teams have had a lot of luck. I think early on in the season. But they're both, again, they've had great running back play, like you said. Saquon's been insane, and I'm glad to see it. Especially with the injuries that he's had 2 years ago. The year he had last year, a little bit. Obviously coming back from that injury and everything. It's great to see him have almost a career year, right? The way he's rushing.
yeah,
Um, if the Giants can find a way to get some of their wide receivers in the mix, it's make this team even more deadly. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, you got to love the effort, from Barkley and from Jones. They're both giving all they can get, and Dable is calling one heck of a game after game after game. He's been doing a great
Yeah.
job. So you got to love the hire if you're a Giants fan.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Daniel Bellinger's been good as a tight end for them. Obviously, a rookie. Slayton has been good in times. They have Richie James, who's their leading wide receiver right now. You look at the wide receiving stats; it's pretty. 189 yards leads the team. That's, I think, want to say
Mm-hmm.
almost last in the league as a leading receiver for a team. Wan'Dale Robinson came back. He looked pretty good. 4 receptions, the 42 yards, and the touchdown. He should be their number one relatively soon. Saquon's still the leader pretty much in everything they got going, and that's where they're winning. So we'll see how they keep going, but it's like I said, it's a good time to be a New York fan. You got to be excited. Giants maybe not so much in the talent. You can see pieces. Offensive line looking really good. Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal. You have pieces there, but your coach, you have
Yeah.
a guy to build around, and that's where you want it. So that's very encouraging as a Giant fan. And like I said, the Jets, same thing. All right, so quickly we'll get into the slate from last week, and then we'll do a couple previews for this week coming up. Obviously, right now, AJ was saying it's Monday Night Football. We have Denver at LA, the Chargers, and it's 13-10. I think Denver at the half. I think Denver gets the ball back as well. That Thursday night game was awful. Chicago and Washington just absolutely trash. San Fran losing to Atlanta was shocking. Atlanta's offense played
Yeah.
really well behind
Finally,
Marcus
Kyle
Mariota.
Pitts
Sorry.
sighting.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts with the touchdown. He still didn't have a great game, but the touchdown definitely saved him some headache from fans. But Ayuk with 2 touchdowns. Mariota had the run, and then he also had the the pass to I believe the fullback, and then they had that fumble recovery touchdown in the end zone, which got them the second 7. San Fran, I just you got to. I feel like they don't get Debo the ball enough. Ayuk, right, eight receptions, 83 yards, the 2 touchdowns. But last year they got Debo, and maybe it's teams scheming against him more, but they got him the ball everywhere, from running back
Mhm.
to wide receiver to pretty much everything. Quarterback, he had 7 for 79, 10 targets total, the 2 rushes, but I feel like they got to scheme him better. I don't know. Maybe that's me.
I don't disagree with you, but I think another guy that hasn't had a game until this week has been George Kittle, right?
Yeah, 8
You
for
have a
83.
you have
Yeah.
a monster tight end finally has a showing, right? In the receiving game. But I mean the past, since the start of the season, he's been nowhere. I mean, I know he was out the first week or 2 weeks, but I mean, I
Yep.
don't know if it was just them kind of gradually getting him, into the season, and getting him more volume. But I mean, it's great to finally see him, kind of get going. But yeah, I mean, you got to get Debo the ball more. Like I said, you know that he had the 79 yards in the receiving game, and they do use him in the rushing game here and there. But I mean, Jimmy G not having the greatest of games, and like you said, Mariota playing well.
Yeah.
It's I guess it's that any given Sunday type of thing where any team can beat any team, but um, you think San Francisco from a year ago, right, beating Green Bay in that divisional round. Um, you think they'd be a little bit more competitive right now, but 3-3 record, they're obviously still there.
Yep.
Um, but it's looking wishy washy with them right now.
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens to San Fran the rest of the way, and obviously we'll talk about Green Bay in a second too. Um, New England beating Cleveland, which you could see that happening, but the way they did it, 38-15. Bailey
Yeah.
Zappi, 300 yards. Ramondre Stevenson was awesome. New England, on defense was smothering them. It was a good win for the Patriots, and you have to be happy with Ramondre Stevenson and the way he's played, with the injury to Damian Harris. Nick
Hmm.
Chubb had a so showing, only 12 carries, but that was
Pedestrian
a
for
lot
him.
of a lot of come from behind stuff they're working on. Mark Cooper with a touchdown. Hunter Henry, working pretty well for as a tight end for New England. You go through the rest of the slates, and what games to you really stood out, where you were not shocked, but that you saw as maybe not ending up the way you thought it would.
I mean, let's go to that Buccaneers Steelers game, right?
Yeah.
I mean the
Mm-hmm.
Bucks. I don't even know. I mean, now like that was I felt like an awful game, right?
Yes.
Steelers, you expect them right to fall mightily. I know they have the great defense still, in Pittsburgh, but I mean it's surprising that Tom Brady and company, having their
Yeah.
guy, having a healthy team, and falling to Pittsburgh. That's a killer.
This is the first game that Pittsburgh has won without TJ Watt. Like they've been 0-8 when TJ Watt has not played in the game. This is the
I
first time
know.
they actually got a win with him out of the lineup. He's ridiculous. He's maybe the best football player out there,
Yeah.
obviously defensively. But yeah, Tampa, Tom was not happy, and people are starting to question what's going on with Tom Brady because he has not looked good.
Nope.
Leonard Fournette, has been okay. Chase Claypool finally showed up for a game since his rookie year, really. Yeah, Tampa's in trouble, and we'll see. Between Tampa and Green Bay, you're looking at these two teams with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and you're like, is this it? Is their run over? So that's interesting to look at in the coming weeks. LA Rams obviously beating Carolina, and what happened with Robbie Anderson, who then just subsequently got
Yeah,
traded to Arizona
Arizona.
Cardinals, who just lost Marquise Brown for the season. It looks like.
Yeah.
Um, that whole thing. He gets thrown out off the field by his coach after getting multiple verbal spats with his wide receivers coach. So not great there. And obviously, I think him. Once Matt Rule kind of got fired, he was the reason why he was brought down there. Obviously, coaching him
The
at Temple.
yeah, the
But
writing on the wall, right, was there.
yeah,
And
he
I
was
mean, I
gone.
mean, and I think that's a guy too. I mean, I know he's been a little bit of a headache, right?
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, the guy has talent. The guy's got so
yeah,
much speed. I mean, you saw it
yeah.
in New
So
York,
fast.
with his connection that he did have with Wilson a little bit at the start.
Sam Darnold. You mean?
And sorry, yeah, Darnold. Um, they had the guy had speedy. So,
Yeah.
if you can air the ball out to him,
And college
I
to
mean,
do it.
yeah. So maybe a good pickup for the Cardinals. Hopefully you can try and get something going there.
Turn
I mean, the
around. Yeah.
Cardinals definitely desperately need it, right?
Talk about the
The
Cardinals.
way
Seattle
that they're
that
starting.
lost 19-9. Oof.
Yeah.
And you expected that to be a barn burner, like a 30 something game, and Kyler stinks. I know he had 100 yards rushing, but he has not played well, and I really do think it goes back to that whole contract thing where maybe those two are maybe not long for each other for too long. I
Yeah.
really think that might be something that there's gonna be a divorce coming up soon, and I just think that those two, both sides need kind of a separation. But
Well, I mean,
uh,
I would say the guy that's going obviously is Kingsbury, right? You just
yeah,
signed,
yeah, he's gone
you know,
first. Yeah,
Kyler, unless the team's gonna willing to take on Murray's
couple
contract
and first round
and
picks.
yeah. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I just think that this team right now isn't built. Their wide receiver core. I know they've had some obviously injuries.
well,
Hopkins is
and
out right
Hopkins coming back
now.
this week. Yep.
Yeah. So not the greatest start. Hopefully with Hopkins back, they can get something going in the passing game. But his best target's been Ertz.
Yeah.
Obviously, we see tight ends do. If a lot of the great tight ends with Aaron Andrews, Kittle, Kelsey, all of them, when they're going, it's great. But I just feel like the way this team is built, it's not built around Zach Ertz as your number one
Yeah.
weapon. So,
Yeah.
they got to find a way. Hopefully with Hopkins back, they can get something going
Yeah. And
and
Nuke will
turn
do it.
around. But yeah, I mean, if they're kind of on the same trajectory, you got to think that maybe Kingsbury's maybe out for after the end of the season. Who knows?
Yep. A couple quick. We'll just go rapid fire. Minnesota beats Miami. Good win for the Vikings. Cincinnati with the win over New Orleans. New Orleans playing tough, and Cincinnati but with a good win. Joe Burrow 3 straight games, 2+ touchdowns, 300 yards, no interceptions. The Philly game, Philly wins 26-17, stays undefeated, 6-0. Indianapolis 34 over the Jags 17, and our Jared just it's that's not it's so embarrassing how this team's playing right now. It's real bad, and Trevor Lawrence has not been great. He had very
No.
pedestrian 165 in the touchdown. They have something to Travis Etienne. He's looking really good, and maybe he's taken over kind of as the number one. But Christian Kirk hasn't been targeted enough, and the running game, and just their ability to lose the ball, fumbling. Christian Kirk had the fumble, and then
Mm-hmm.
their defense just can't seem to get stops. I know they have one of the best linebackers in football in Olakun, but Devin Lloyd's not getting after the passer. Trayvon Walker, same thing. And Josh Allen has. I think he's been just okay, right? I think over on the season he's got 3 sacks. You expect more from a first round pick, so
Yeah.
it's tough for the Jags and Indy with a good win. Last one
Yeah.
and the game of the week: Buffalo and Kansas City. AJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I was expecting a little bit more of a high scoring game
Scoring,
with this one, right?
yeah,
Just 24-20. It was still a great game. I'm just pulling up kind of my notes here. Mahomes, obviously with the 2 touchdowns, 340 yards.
Yeah,
Played well. Allen too. 3 touchdowns, 330
ridiculous.
yards.
Yep.
Both obvious. Airing out the ball, playing well. This is going to be two teams that I think we'll see in the AFC Championship game. Playing and duking it out. But
Yep. In Buffalo.
it was nice to see Juju actually have himself a game.
Yep.
With 110 yards, touchdown.
Yeah, I called that.
Kelsey, having a monster game too, like he always does. And on the other side too, Diggs, playing well, almost 150 yards, touchdown, and Gabe Davis, another touchdown for
Yep.
75 yards.
Dawson Knox, good for him too.
It's it's exciting, having the just seeing these two teams play each other, for the next 10 years, having Mahomes
Yeah.
versus Allen. I mean, it's a special thing, and it's sad that this wasn't on primetime.
Yeah.
I know the Dallas Eagles game was pretty good for the most part, but I mean, to not have this on as your Thursday night game, I mean, I don't get what the NFL was doing
Yeah.
there. Especially when you're
Sunday night.
starting the
Yeah.
season.
Yep.
But great game. I'm looking forward to the rematch. Hopefully at the end of the season. Maybe
Yeah,
not in
that'll
the
be
AFC
one.
conference, but maybe in the divisional round, and hopefully the Jets will be in there for the AFC conference. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, just overall very good game. You talked about all the stats and stuff. You look at these two teams, and this might be the new Brady Manning. Those games where you look forward to them every year. Two
Yeah.
stalwarts. They are that good. I do think that KC needs one more wide receiver. We'll see if Sky Moore turns into that player, their first round pick. But Juju had a really good game. Travis Kelce's obviously a beast. And, the running backs for Buffalo, Devin Singletary, 17 for 85. There's rumors that they might be going after Christian McCaffrey, which would be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
That offense altogether. And I could also see McCaffrey meaning something to Kansas City as well, where they can use him out of the backfield, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire just kind of fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens at trade deadline.
If I'm Buffalo, I mean, obviously any team would take Christian McCaffrey, but just the way that offense plays, right? Allen's looking downfield. He's not looking for that safety valve as much.
Yeah.
So does he really benefit that team that much to where what Singletary has, or do you think somebody same thing with Mahomes, right? It's he's always looking downfield. He's not really looking as much for his running back, in the dump off.
Yeah, I mean,
which team do you think he would be more suited for?
KC. I mean, just because I feel like they do need a better running back option than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which sucks because out of LSU, you figured he would be perfect for that system. They obviously both quarterbacks did target the running backs in the lower passing game quite often. McKinnon had 3 targets. Isaiah Pacheco had 2 targets, and then Clyde Edwards had 1. And on the other side, short game, you had Reggie Gillum, who's their fullback. He had 3 targets. Singletary had 5. Isaiah McKenzie, he's also short game. He had 5 targets. So maybe that is something that both teams could use, a guy like that. That I think I just saw that McCaffrey now is second all time in 50-yard rushing, 50-yard passing games. Getting at that in the same game. He's second all time. I forget. It's to Marshall Faulk. I think he's at 21 or something, and Faulk he's pretty close maybe to the record. So, yeah, I mean, I can see both these teams going after something like that. Definitely makes some sense. All right, we'll quickly go over this week's preview, and then we'll get out of here. AJ, any games quickly that you are looking forward to, and any maybe 1 or 2 predictions?
I'm actually a little interested in that Thursday night game, just seeing Hopkins come back, see how Arizona kind of plays with him. If it takes a little bit of time to get that offense going with him in it, or if it's clicking like he never missed some time.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm looking forward to that Jets Broncos game. Just to see if,
Mm-hmm.
if the Jets can keep it going. Other than that, I think the Browns Ravens game will be pretty
Yep. Let's
decent.
just say that.
I think that's
Especially because both teams are reeling a little bit.
yeah, it's a must-win game for both teams, right?
Yeah, at
The way
Baltimore
that
more so, but yeah.
and then also I think that 425 game Chiefs 49ers, I think that's another good game.
Yep.
We'll see if San Fran can get something going. I think it's a good matchup and test for them. I always think that San Fran defense is always a good contest against opposing offenses. So we'll see if Mahomes
Yep.
can do something like he does. Other than
Yeah,
that,
Bills, Rams, Vikings, and Eagles all out this week. So 3 premier teams.
Yeah, I would
That
say
Monday
that,
matchup sucks.
not anything that really tickles the fancy.
Yeah. Agreed.
As really good games.
Yeah, Baltimore. I think they do get the win, and I do expect Mahomes. Sorry, Lamar to have a very good game, bounce back. That you talked about the Thursday, New Orleans, Arizona. I expect them to go after Nuke. I expect them to go after Nuke quite often. I still think the Saints get the win here. That Bengals Atlanta game is interesting. 2 offenses that can sling it with some wideouts and tight ends that are really good. I can see that being high scoring. I'd take the over on that one. And then you talked about it, the KC San Fran. I do expect the Chiefs to come back with a win, but I think San Fran's going to make this very tight, and it's going to be an interesting game. But yeah, that Monday night, that's bad. Chicago at New England. Yeah. I mean, Pittsburgh at Miami is also awful. I know that they might have Tua back, and maybe Kenny Pickett back from his concussion. We'll see. Yeah, not both matchups. The Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night. That's a bad week.
Well, at least the Thursday night I feel like is a little bit better than previous Thursday nights, and
tiny
then
bit.
Next week it'll be even better. Just with the potential of Ravens Bucks, but looking ahead over a week. But
all right, quick trivia. We'll get out of here.
All right, so obviously this prior week we had Bailey Zappi, with his second career win as a rookie.
Oh, okay.
His first, his first 2 career starts. He had a 100-plus passer rating in each of those games. Who was the only other rookie in his first 2 career starts to have over a 100-plus passer rating?
Mahomes.
In his first 2 career games. And it's not Mahomes. This is way back.
Wait, I'm not going to know the way back. All right, go ahead.
It was. I'm sorry. So Sonny Jurgensen in 1957 was one. And then who's the other rookies? And you should get the rookies since 1950. One of the best. Think
Aaron Rodgers.
80s, 90s, 90s.
Oh, John Elway.
Nope.
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino's one, and then somebody who's still in the league playing for the Saints.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton. So first 2.
Jesus, that's terrible.
First 2 starts with 100-plus passer rating as rookies: Dan Marino and Andy Dalton.
I don't know if I said this last week, but Bailey Zappi, it's Bill Belichick's 5th rookie to start a season and get a win. So each time Bill Belichick has a rookie quarterback, and he's starting for the very first time, he gets a win. So hammer his win totals. That'll do it for us. See you guys next week. This is Football Primetime.